we're in Santa Monica, California. Not only are we talking to people about dreams, but we're following the direction of our own. We had a dream where all we saw was the Ed of the Ed Hardy logo flashing and flashing. Seeing your tattoos and your style and fashion, we thought, okay, there's somebody who fits that group, and we're gonna go talk to him.
Well, the one reoccurring one I had, which I actually got a painter friend of mine to draw, which is interesting, was it was just a hand, and the hand was kind of in a mist of cloud or water. I don't know if it was cloud or water, but it was kind of reaching up, and then there was, I think it was my hand, because I remember seeing my ring that I don't wear anymore. It broke, but my hand was reaching down for this other hand, and it wasn't like someone was in desperation or something. It was more like, hey, I'm here kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that one comes up.
That's a recurring.
It's a recurring dream. Like it's probably started in 2007, and I've since, for the last 2 years, probably maybe 20 times it's come up.
People are just hungry for the supernatural, especially as it pertains to giving information about their lives personally. The thing I like about dreams, and especially over in Europe and even Korea, I was even in Korea and we were able to interpret dreams there. They're very open because they've had an experience that they can't understand.
So what happened in '07? Anything significant happen? Any losses in your life? Family losses or friendship losses?
I think 2007 was a year that I kind of, to date, it's been the one where I thought things were going to be amazingly easy and comfortable, but it ended up being a very tough year. Okay. Like when it came to everything that I care about. So with my career, relationships, it was kind of like, it was one of those years that I actually, in the process of writing a song about, it's called 365 years, where every day felt like a year.
And it's reaching for you, you're reaching for it, and it's not out of desperation, but more comfort.
Like it feels like
I'm here.
Yeah.
Like a helping hand.
It does. It does. It feels that way. It feels like, the more I think about it now, like you've actually just I haven't thought about this dream for a while, is that I'm actually here to help people as well. Actually, that's what I feel. Yeah. And that's what I feel like with my writing lately. It's been all about how people can walk away feeling shifted or affected by our music and feel, I guess, interpreted.
I was just going to say
you just got it.
But that's that wouldn't have happened if you guys didn't trigger my brain.
Got it.
But like, this is going to give me stuff to write about later, so that's good.
Let's drill down a little bit. What it is it's an invitation for you to go. The reason it came up for you instead of coming from the sky down is it's inviting you to go deeper, which is what happened to you in '07.
Right.
If you think about what you said with your music, you started to go into a deeper spiritual place with your music where it became, you said, more meaningful. For you, you're going to Sundance in January.
Yes.
With a band?
Yeah.
Your band?
I play in a rock band, yeah. And a lot of the lyrical content that I've been writing lately is based around
that's kind
dreams.
of what we're interested in.
I didn't interpret in Australia, but they are hungry there for dreams. I hadn't gotten really into interpretation when I was in Australia, but I've run into people at Sundance, for instance, who are from Australia, and they're very open to having their dreams done.
I think, do you want to go ahead? No, go ahead.
No, honestly, go ahead, because I think you have something.
Well.
So just so you know, Toby, what we do is it's, we believe that it's like being at a vantage point. You see a part or a piece of something, and so that's the part that you communicate.
Right.
So the reason we work as a team like we do is because each of us will see a part, and then we present it to the person.
Your dream that is your calling. And it reminded me of Michelangelo's painting where God's reaching out and touching man's hand. It's that's a picture of the beginning. That was God and Adam. It is a new beginning, but it's also one that has the ability to help and that's bigger, you know, reaching out. It just reminded me of, it's a very similar picture.
Yeah.
My feeling is that I think you're in a new season, and I think you've begun to navigate it, and now it's going to begin to. It is already unfolding for you. Things are really taking off.
When you go through a trying time, the purpose of going through that is to establish perseverance. Okay, and as you persevere, your character's molded and shaped. Okay, and then after your character's molded and shaped, it establishes hope.
I'm so glad I chose that dream.
We're in Malibu, which I think is great, and I'm here with my friends, Bill and Jen.
Wendy, this is Cindy. Wendy's a big dreamer.
I think that just tells me something about you, that that's probably been your life. It's like you felt like I'm always disappointed, you know, no matter what. And how often do you have it? You think,
I had a lot. It's kind of odd. I haven't had it recently. So it's gone away.
yeah, and I think, there's a renewing of the mind that's going to take place, where you're going to begin to believe for some things, and they're actually going to happen. And I think the dream actually could be just a dream to try and make your heart sick, you know, like a hope deferred kind of thing, to keep you from believing for bigger or better, you know. I think the thing that brought me into dream interpretation was that my husband and I were both dreaming pretty vivid dreams, and there was a lot of symbolism in the dream, and we just couldn't figure out what it was. And we thought, these things are too vivid, and they're too impacting not to have an interpretation.
When we met, well, I've probably always, you know, dreamt crazy dreams, but when we met, it was really intense, and they were so kind of, you know, haunting. It was like, these have got to mean something.
I had a dream that was what we refer to as a calling dream, and it really rocked my world.
One night, in fact, and I think it was in 1996, we both dreamed the same dream. And we got up and told each other. And we went, this is ridiculous. We need to find out how to interpret our dreams, or find someone who can help us, you know, or something.
They were just crazy dreams. So I actually went to a bookstore and purchased a book on dreams. And as I took it home and was flipping through it to look up some of the symbols that I dreamt, in my head, I thought the word divination, and which I'd never heard of the word before. This was, you know, 10 plus years ago, well, about 10 years ago. And so I looked up the word divination, and it meant like witchcraft or something like that. So I threw the book in the trash, and I was like, well, what am I supposed to do then? You know, God, help me understand what this is, because I'm like, these are crazy, the dreams that I'm having.
Well, in the dream, I hear a woman's voice, and she says, you have to go. You have to come. It starts now. So she takes me outside where I meet, at the time, a friend of my uncle's. And I know something's wrong, and I know that it's very serious. So I asked her, the friend, is it my older cousin? She says, no. And I go down the line, I says, is it the next to the youngest, the middle? And she says, no, it's not. And then I said, is it the youngest? And she says, yes. And when she says yes, I wake up. I was very surprised that it was my youngest cousin, because my perception of him is that he was perfect, picture of health. He was working for a computer company at the time, one of the big name computer companies. He had a great position, he was working out, and just alive. He was the kind of person who carried charisma with him. When he'd walk into a room, all eyes would be on him. So I call him the next day and tell him, as I've just said, what happened. And when I get to the part about the warning, he begins to cry. He's bawling on the phone. He tells me, he said, you know, no one knows what's going on in my life right now. No one could know. You have no idea how ashamed I am of some things that I've done and where I'm at today. And so I asked him, I said, well, what's going on? And he didn't want to tell me, he didn't want to give me the specifics at the time. He just said, just know that, God is showing us something here. So it seemed like it was the right outcome, but what ended up happening is he had gotten caught up in a whole bunch of stuff, doing exotic drugs like ecstasy, a drug called GHB. He was going to rave parties. The ecstasy affected his brain, caused him to get extremely depressed and suffer such extreme anxiety attacks that he would, when going into the spasms and the seizures, his joints would actually dislocate.
And he had Crohn's disease, and
he developed Crohn's over that period of time as well, and so he got off the exotic drugs and got started on painkillers because of the Crohn's, and that's where he was when the dream was given, as he was fighting this addiction to the painkillers, very depressed and suicidal. I mean, the whole family was pulling together, trying to help him, and one morning my uncle left, and it was a Monday night. Jennifer and I were going to a church service, and we got a call from my dad, and he said, your cousin committed suicide this morning. We're a really close family, and during the time that he was recovering, we were always very close, but during the time that he was recovering, they're trying to get off all that stuff, we got really, really close, and there were a number of dreams that God had given him, given all of us, to save his life. So we saw, God's hand at work. It says that there's a prophet among you. I speak to him in mysteries and riddles and dark sayings. And God was reaching out to all of us, several people, about him, directly to him that way. And we were starting to understand what the dreams meant, and it was all to give him hope. But he did end up taking his life.
And so he had this whole encounter, and then we met Cindy, and she introduced us to a dream course that was based more on like biblical ways of interpreting dreams, or kind of just what the Jewish community has used for generations, that method of interpreting dreams. So that was kind of what set me on the path to understanding them.
And then we realized that not just Tim and I were dreaming, but we found that people that they didn't perceive themselves to be spiritual, they were dreaming as well. And they were having dreams that were impacting their lives. Sometimes they would dream things and then they would actually happen. The dream would come true. So we thought, we're onto something here.
You can just hit play. Yeah, just hit play.
Just have a repetitive dream of my grandfather, which passed away in June of last year. And it's just him telling me every time when stuff gets tough, times get tough, to keep pushing. I always hear his famous line, "Give him hell, baby," and stuff like that. Just a great guy, great man. Died at 86, was killed in a accident in front of his house. He's like a father to me.
Right.
So I see him quite a bit. Not much to the dream, but it's a repetitive dream, seeing him over and over.
Actually, that happens a lot. We hear dreams like this where you've had a loved one, a family member, grandparent, uncle, sister, whatever, that has maybe passed away, and they visit you in a dream. It is not necromancy, so you're not dealing with the dead. He's given you some foundational building stones in your life. He was foundation in your life. That's what your dream tells me. And he was the one who basically gave you the leg up. He's the one that had his hands in your back the entire time. He's the one who gave you purpose in times when you found it very difficult to go on. I think that, and that's why you're dreaming about him now, because now you're having to remember the words that were spoken in the dream and begin to live out what he saw about you when he was on this earth. In a way, it's similar to your Creator speaking to you, about telling you about who you are and what you're designed for and what your purpose is and how to overcome obstacles and how to keep going when times get tough. So I would call this a spiritual dream. It's a dream from the Creator. I believe that that's why you're having it over and over again. There's a spiritual foundation in you that's being revisited, and it's coming alive, and you're right on it.
Awesome. Wow. That's nice. That's awesome. Wow.
You're welcome. Look, I can feel that. Look, you did too.
We're here at Sundance Film Festival. We've been here in the last few years just receiving and taking in dreams that people have had in the night. You know, at a film festival like this one, like here, you can see that directors and actors and different people have so many vivid dreams. Oftentimes movies even come in the form of dreams. So we're just trying to find out, what are they dreaming and what could they possibly mean?
I've had a reoccurring dream of my mother dying. It's usually sudden, it's never illness. And it's been going on for about 4 years.
Well, I think,
Also, she never dies the same way twice.
okay, give me a couple of ways that she dies.
It's usually car accidents or heart attack or I just walk in and I don't know what it is.
I would like to hear like one specific dream that you had.
It's probably been a few months now, but there was one where, this was the most recent one where I walked in and she was just dead on the ground. I don't know what it was. And it was me calling 911 and them taking a really long time to get there.
Okay. What I believe you're being shown is that something started in her life about 4 years ago, and it's significant stress, okay? Probably in her vocation or something that she's doing in life. What does your mom do? Is she still working?
My grandfather got sick and that's when she started taking care of him.
About 4 years ago.
Yeah. So that's probably it.
That's it. You're being shown that your grandma or your mom, because of your or because of your her dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because of what's going on in his life, she's hurting, and she's the 911 that you're shown is a call for help. So my sense is from that your mother is probably a very strong lady.
True.
And it's hard for her to reach out and ask for help. She wants it. It's coming from her heart. You know, the cry for help is coming from her heart. And what you're being shown is now's the time for us to do something, to intervene. That's what I believe you're being shown.
All right. Thank you.
I
I don't know.
Does that register?
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think that's accurate.
Good.
So when you're interpreting, okay, so somebody naively shares with you a dream, and all of a sudden they're standing there naked before you, you know,
Right.
all their stuff. And as you begin to give the interpretation, they know that, and they're like, oh man. But our heart is to not judge anyone, to really come at them from a position of love. Everybody comes from different experiences in their life, different pains, different traumatic experiences. You know, who are we to judge? So really, we do everything that we can to convey, you know, the message of the interpretation with love, you know, and no judgment.
And though they may be standing there vulnerable, transparent, naked, as Jennifer put it before us, our objective is to do our best to, you know, bring the blanket, the covering, you know, to surround them with. But we have to be really careful. You want to be very conscientious of the fact that they are now realizing something that that was hidden is being revealed.
Well, and for some people, they share a dream and you can tell, or just you have a feeling that this is stemming from a very painful event. And so when we're talking to people, at times we can feel, if you want to, I describe it this way, you can just feel a wall. So for some people, you can feel the walls down. For some people, you feel it's up. And so we have to gauge what we're feeling as to where we can go with them, because not everybody's ready to hear everything.
Right.
And so depending on where they are in their stage in life and what they're able to hear, we kind of gauge what we share.
What we believe is that when the interpretation comes, the correct interpretation, it inspires hope, gives encouragement.
You don't need to say all that before you do the
to
dream.
take a different direction or maintain the right direction.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm saying that.
But pick up at an accelerated pace. What
I
you
mean,
don't
you
know
know,
that was going on
sounded
behind
good.
the scenes. So where we're going to start is let you tell us about this significant dream, and we'll give you what we believe to be the interpretation.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. I have a reoccurring dream of getting up for high school, and everyone's left, and I am there trying to find my shoes. I can't find my shoes. Nothing matches. I can't find the right Levi's. I can't find any of my clothes. So I'm so frustrated. I spend my entire day doing this and miss out on everything that's going on, and I never accomplish anything. So when I wake up, I'm very frustrated.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it just comes back all the time. Then, if I ever do get to high school, I go to my locker, can't remember the combination, can't remember what classes I take. And so, I'm always worried that I'm not going to graduate because I've not completed my requirements. But that's my reoccurring dream.
Okay.
And that could be a common one, for a lot of people.
Yeah,
But-
that is. The clothing piece isn't as common, but the not finding your locker is. That's a real common one. So, I can relate to this dream. I haven't had it before.
You don't have to go into your personal stuff.
Interpretation in it.
Can't wait to see you doing it, I'm sure.
I just already know.
I can't even hear what I'm saying.
What this dream is
your
about is about
microphone's
you.
way down here.
Because you're talking.
It's about knowing inwardly that you are designed for a specific purpose, and knowing that there is something in you that needs to get out. That's the frustration. Is what is this in me that I can't get out? Like a beautiful song,
Oh, man.
okay, or like a beautiful picture, some kind of gift. And so what you are being shown, with the number of things that you've tried, you still haven't found your fit. And it's like, what is my place? Where is my place? What is my fit? And so it's what it is doing. It is an exhortation dream. Okay? It's because it's encouraging you and exhorting you to just be you. To be you, and in being you and just putting yourself at ease, to just be you and be who you are, is where you're
I think
going to
that
find out
the
what
combination
that
to the
purpose
lot
really
too
is. That's
is that
what I believe,
she's
and that's
got
how
some
you're
things
gonna
she's
turn it
got
out
to
and find out what
discover
that combination
how to
is.
unlock.
So my sense is it goes back even to high school.
It's stored
where
up for
image is
her.
so important, right?
Yes.
Like, what's the right image for me to fit? That resonates.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, that was the big part.
I was always really tall, really skinny, never had, I just always felt really out of place. And I think, and that's typical too of a lot of people, whether you're short, tall, whatever you are, but that was kind of what it was. And so I struggled all the time to find that comfort zone.
Right.
And the common dreams are teeth falling out, flying, falling, reptiles, whether it's a snake or an alligator or a crocodile, spiders, insect and animal type dreams. There are vehicle dreams that are common. Why am I in my car? Or why am I in an airplane? The naked in public dreams are very common. At school, I can't find my locker, or I have to take a test.
I don't know what combination
Yeah.
to my luck.
Those are the common dreams.
But for the arc of 5 or 6 years, I kept having the losing the teeth dream.
Well, I have a reoccurring dream of my teeth falling out, or just becoming really loose, or kind of crumbling and breaking.
This tooth fell out Actually, it was going to fall out. It never did. It just got like loose all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Usually there's one that's loose. I think, wow, is that tooth loose? And then all of a sudden they all start falling out. There's normally a lot of blood too.
One of the top dreams that we know of is a teeth falling out dream. It seems you can't really get in a room full of people that you don't find a teeth falling out dream. A young man who was doing my hair, he was a hairdresser. I had been going to his shop and he knew that I was a dream interpreter. And he was almost mocking me. It was really funny. And he would tell me, he would announce when I would walk through the door, well, the dream interpreter's here. And I thought, okay, your day's coming, buddy. But one night he had a dream. And in this dream, he dreamed that the whole left side of his mouth, all of his teeth fell out. And he got up at 3 in the morning with that dream, and he said it was so vivid that he got on the floor and actually started looking for his teeth. He couldn't find them. And he was going to go down to his shop and get my card to call me at 3 in the morning. I'm glad he didn't. And the next morning around 7:30 or 8, he called my number and he said, I've had this dream. It is so disturbing to me. It was so vivid and so real. I've got to know what it means. And I said, well, it seems as if you're getting ready to swallow something whole in a big decision that you're possibly making. Most of your teeth on the left side of your head have fallen out, which tells me that you have nothing to break down the details. So you're getting ready to swallow something whole. If you're in a major decision-making point in your life where you're getting ready to sign contracts or something, you need to make sure that you get all the details before you move further. That afternoon, he got a hold of his lawyer because he was in the process of opening up another salon. And they went over the contract and found something like a $50,000 loophole that he would have been out $50,000. That was something. And he thanked me up one side and down the other for interpreting that dream.
I often have dreams about snakes. And in my dreams, they seem to be jumping out at me like they're trying to attack me or bite me.
I was surrounded by several more venomous snakes and they all bit me.
It's giving us a little heads up that we might be lied to about something.
It's kind of like a warning thing. You know what I mean? You're being shown that there's some things to watch out for, and it could be either people in your life or it could be ways of thinking.
What we've recently found, though, relative to common dreams is common dreams from our perspectives are changing. So there are some new common themes to dreams that we're encountering or coming up, which is very interesting. You've got to wonder why. You know, and
Like what?
Snakes, you know, but not snakes slithering. Snakes where more people are having dreams about eating snakes. We've encountered, for example, one person who is observing in a factory snakes being bottled up and sent out to the masses for food. Okay, so the bodies are chopped up and being sent out to the masses for food. Other people who are killing and eating snakes.
My biggest recurring dreams are all about flight. The one that recurs the most is I'm driving my brother's truck, incidentally, which doesn't really matter, but I'm driving his truck. I think it's kind of on the edge of the Grand Canyon, and as I get closer and closer to the edge, I kind of move forward out the windshield of the truck, and I almost like, I don't want to say like become the truck because that sounds kind of cheesy, but I basically kind of swoop down into the canyon and I'm kind of hurtling through the canyon at kind of like Superman style.
Oftentimes when people have dreams that they're flying, they're being shown that they're very intuitive. And what we find with those people when they're dreaming, ones who are very, very intuitive, they don't always know it, but we'll take them through a series of questions and say, for example, do you have a lot of premonitions? Yes, I do. Do you have a lot of deja vus? Yes, I do. Do you read people well? Do you know who you can trust or who you can't trust? Yes, I do. And so oftentimes they're being encouraged in their dream to trust their intuition, or they're being shown that they have a significant gift of intuition.
Well, being naked in public, I believe there are a couple of interpretations of that. One is, if you're naked in public and you're comfortable with that, then you have a personality. You're being shown that You're what you see is what you get kind of person. Other people have dreams they're naked in public and they are hiding, they're concerned. So, you know, all of us have maybe areas in our life that we consider weaknesses or areas that we want to keep covered or private. You know, we tend to be a more private person. It could mean as well that something is coming where we are going to be exposed in some areas. You know, some of our things that we're dealing with or that we may not want to be exposed are going to be seen by other people. And it doesn't mean that's a bad thing, but we just don't always like when that happens. The interesting thing about dream interpretation is there is no canned approach. It would be difficult to write a book because if somebody dreams of a dog, you know, coming to them in a dream or some kind of an exchange with a dog, it depends on what the person's dream language is, because to one person it would mean, I love dogs. To another person it would mean, they're annoying. To somebody else, I was attacked by a dog and they're horrible. So it's like each person can have their own language. So that's the difficult part about interpreting. You really have to kind of be, you know, have an understanding of what direction to go for that person. So one symbol can mean many different things. Yeah, it just all depends on what it means to the dreamer. And
it brings up an important point, which is the most important thing, the most important attribute to interpreting dreams is listening.
You're valuing a person by listening to them. Many times people are not heard. They're never listened to. So you're giving of your time and you're valuing the dreamer. Then you're valuing the dream that they've had and you're taking time to help them sort it out because it's a personal issue for their life.
How it started, I was trying to help someone that needed help and they wound up dying. And I went to the grave site. While I was at the grave site, the earth was sinking in and his hand came up to grab my foot and I walked away and I went and sat down, and it was so strange. I sat down on the dirt and my hair went into dreadlocks, and I was sitting with my knees like this, with my arms like this, into dreadlocks around me, just like a cage. And that was my dream. It was strange.
You were trying to help him in real life. Okay. Okay. And then after he died, you had the dream where you went to the gravesite and he grabbed your foot and you went and got away.
He was actually pulling me down. Mm-hmm. And then I went and just sat there off to the side, which was strange, and my hair went into dreadlocks and it was all around me like a cage. So.
Well, this is what I think your dream could be telling you. There were certain things in your life and in your friend, the life of your friend as he related to you that were not good for you necessarily. And when you went, even after he died, there were certain things that were still concepts or understandings or things that maybe he shared with you or whatever that had a hold of you and tried to affect your walk. That's why he got your foot. And then you got away from him, you went and sat down, and your hair, which is your covering, began to grow out and actually bring a protection around you, to cocoon you, to say, you are not subject to this kind of thing. In other words, you're protected now from, from all kinds of things that could have been wrong counsel, wrong advice, something that he might still have a hold or a pull of you emotionally, and he no longer has the ability to affect your walk. And because you got away from it and because you left it, you've now come into a place of complete being hedged around, being protected on every side. And so I would say that you're going to have great freedom from...
Yeah, because see, I felt bad. I felt like, because I couldn't save his life or help him that way. And then I felt this dream probably was something that was caging me, and no, it's the other way.
Yes. Actually, this is a freedom dream to give you freedom from things that you used to walk in that probably had a hold of you but no longer do.
Yeah, there are like psychological ways of interpreting dreams. And so when you watch people get that kind of an interpretation, they might be like, oh, okay. But when you can interpret, and the times when we can hear what God's heart is on this specific dream, the walls go down and the interpretation goes into their spirit, and people are genuinely impacted and transformed. When people believe it's just their psyche, talking to them, which some dreams may very well be them processing things, but for others that are what we believe, to be God communicating on a bigger level, the impact is sincere and it's deep. It's transforming. It has a transforming power. So the shows and the things that I've seen where people have attempted, to interpret people's dreams, it all stays on that psychological level, and it never goes to a really deep place. It stays really surface. So in our experience, my life has been changed. His life has been transformed, and we've, met people randomly on the streets who we've seen them maybe a year later, or they've sent us an email, and their lives have been transformed.
Well, I have this dream that I'm in my house, and I keep discovering new doors in my house, and as I open the door, I find new rooms, and each of the rooms is furnished differently. I've had this dream about 3 or 4 times, and each time I have this dream, there's always a room with a skylight in it, and I'm always taken by the skylight, and I say to myself, oh my God, the skylight is beautiful. Is this gonna be my new house? So that's pretty much the dream.
Here's what I think that dream can mean. I think that rooms and houses are opportunities or unopened doors that you haven't seen yet. Hallways can represent transition places. And so I think that you're in transition where you're going to begin to discover some things that you've never seen before. And then skylights, that tells me that it's something from above or something that is shining light down that's revealing something to you, even on a spiritual level, where it could be opportunities that you may not have ever known about, but you were destined for these opportunities. So I'm expecting some really good things for you in the coming days. And I think that we're all going to be real surprised to see. Oftentimes dreams can help us to understand what our next steps could be like, or what our destinies could be like in the future days ahead. So I'm going to call that a foretelling dream, or a dream that would give you an insight about some things to come.
Okay, so you call that a foretelling dream? What other dreams are there?
There are dreams that are destiny dreams. There are warning dreams. There are spiritual dreams, good or bad. There are self-conditioned dreams that tell us it's just a dream about what our life is really like. There are dreams that are actually evil, that can come that way, that can scare us, or fear dreams, fear-based dreams.
You look at me.
You're doing a lot of talking.
What? Jeez, I talked for 2 seconds. Anyway, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So, of course, there are different types of dreams and different, levels of dreams. So, we, in fact, just met a lady last night at the restaurant we ate dinner at, and by chance, she felt a connection with us, and she said, there's some kind of a kindred thing here, and she said, well, I've got a dream for you, because it came up that we started talking about dreams and stuff. And she said, her example of this dream, because she studied interpreting as well from different methods, but she said some dreams just stick with you. A lot of dreams you have, and they kind of fade away off into the distance, but some really just stick with you for a lifetime. And even though it's been years, you can still vividly remember it. So those are the ones we really look for. Other ones you can process, if you're working a lot in a day, and you dream you're still working at night, just torture, but your brain's just processing, a lot of your activities. Or if people really have desires, their own soulish desires, they can dream about those things. So it's just sorting out. I don't know if that's really answering the question.
So for an example would be, talked to somebody recently who says, I keep dreaming about winning the lottery. And I said, well, I bet you think about winning the lottery a lot. He says, well, I play the lottery every day. Okay, well, that's not a God dream. That is somebody wanting money, the desire for money being so great that they're dreaming about winning the lottery, and it's keeping them in a cycle of going and buying lottery tickets, believing they're gonna win someday.
A group of young people, they were gothic kids, And at first, I wasn't quite sure how they were going to receive us. But one of them had had a dream. And I asked, will you tell me your dream? And he had a crowd around him, a lot of young people around him. And he said, this was my dream. He said, I was in a boat with my friends. We went to a deserted island. We all got off of the boat and we played frisbee and ball and stuff for a while. And then everybody got back on the boat except me. And they took off. And I was left there by myself. And something was coming after me, chasing me. And I was hiding on this island from this monster or whatever that was trying to chase me. And when I listened to the dream, I felt to say, how long have you been suicidal? And he gasped, and all of his friends did. And I said, when you isolate yourself, you seek your own desire, and you are prey, you are sitting duck for all of your thoughts and all of the things that are unreasonable to come and try and take your life. And I said, you have a purpose and a destiny, and you're not meant to die early. It's not supposed to happen. And you've got so many wonderful things on the inside of you that you haven't even seen yet or explored. And all of the young kids began to perk up. And then I started telling them about the way that God made them. And I had a few words for this young man that were words of knowledge, and they all wanted them. So they stayed with us until the cop came in to lock up the gate of the park because of vandalism. He ushered us all out, and they followed us into the street. And one girl pulled on my shirt and said, I'm not leaving here until you tell me what God thinks about me.
So it started when I was younger. I've had this for maybe 3 or 4 years, and it starts out where I'm in a mansion, and it's one of those haunted mansions where, you know, there's dust everywhere and there's broken glass and that kind of thing. And these ghosts strap me into one of those like little kid high chairs, and they take me around the house. And then these two double doors open, and then I'm in this house that I grew up in, you know, Logan Lane. And then all of a sudden I'm just there alone, and I see my brother in another room. And then this bear comes in, this giant brown bear, and it chases me, but I hide, and it finds my brother, and then I usually wake up.
And it finds your brother?
Yeah, it finds my brother.
Is she strapped to a high chair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I was completely strapped in there, couldn't move.
And then...
I like them.
Yeah.
I really like all of them.
It's a cool family.
They are. They're so cool. They're free.
Mm-hmm.
So did you enjoy your toddlerhood?
I think I did, yeah.
Okay. Would you say your brother enjoyed his?
Yeah, I think he did, yeah.
I mean, that's my sense. You've got a great family.
Mm-hmm.
And so oftentimes when for children, when they have that kind of upbringing, you know, there is a fear of growing up. There's a fear of leaving that place. So my sense is, my belief about this interpretation is it's showing you something that both you and your brother would get caught up, potentially caught up in. That the fear of growing up, of moving from toddlerhood and childhood into young adulthood is something that the two of you will struggle with, okay? And you hiding under the ramp and then seeing from that perspective, I actually believe is showing you that you are going to ramp up into that place, and that perhaps your brother is going to be affected by that fear more so than you are. And therefore...
That's really creepy. Yeah, we were talking about this earlier today.
So the reason I believe the dream was given to you, however...
I know. Yeah, what were they talking about?
Okay, you being the kind of person you are, the dream was entrusted to you because without you even being given specific direction from the interpretation, the one who gave you the dream knew that you would naturally instinctively and intuitively love your brother the times that were difficult for him, and that you'd be there for him as a big sister. Okay, is that?
Yeah, that's really creepily accurate.
I like that.
I feel like
use
your
it.
brother ought to come over here and let you give him a big hug, is what I'm feeling. Come on, come and get in this picture.
The dream is I'm underwater and I'm being chased by sharks. And while I'm struggling to get to the surface to avoid the sharks, there's a glass ceiling at the top of the water not letting me get air. So I suffocate in the dream, and I usually wake up before the sharks can eat me. So that's been happening for about the last 6 or 7 months.
Wow, and it's a reoccurring dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what your dream is probably telling you is that you're in something over your head, and you feel like there's things that are chasing you. And the very things chasing you are actually causing you to gain strength. You're actually going to get stronger, and pretty soon the lid's going to come off, and you're going to be able to maneuver yourself through waters that seem to be too deep for you. You're probably made for it. I think you're designed to be over your head. I think you're very uncomfortable on the surface issues of life. And so this is not an uncommon dream for you. And the fact that there was a ceiling over it just meant there wasn't a release yet for what you've been called and destined to do. And I feel like you're getting ready to find that. And you'll be the person that you need to be for the thing you've been asked to do, and the thing that you've been called to do, the thing you're designed to do, and you're going to have great fruitfulness in it.
That's encouraging. Who needs Dr. Phil? This is amazing. Thank you.
Sometimes people are really receptive and they're like, that's really awesome. And more times than not, when the interpretation is right, that's the biggest part. The light bulb goes off and I'm like, wow. And you can feel it impact them in a deep way. And so you know that from that point on, they're going to look at their dreams in a different way. They may not always understand the language, but they're going to begin to pay attention where they didn't before. And maybe in the future, apart from us, they'll begin to keep direction.
When we interpret a dream and we are doing our best to hear what the interpretation could be, the way we gauge it or the way that it's weighed out is the dreamer will tell us. They know if it's accurate or not. They know if that's the interpretation. And then when they know that it is the correct interpretation to a dream and it has a message in it, then they apply it to their lives. And that's where the life-changing experience comes in.
Okay, so Zai came in and we looked at him and thought,
I guess, Zai, you've had a dream.
had a dream. And his kids were all encouraging him.
Yeah, do it, Dad. That's what he wants.
Yeah, tell him that dream you're always telling us.
One-time dream.
This happened almost 30 years ago. I was 18 years old, and I was in college, and I was having a rough time. I was actually close to being on probation, and I had this dream one night that has been probably one of the most significant things in my life as far as continuously going back and remembering this dream and trying to figure out.
I mean, who remembers a dream
I think it
that
has quite a
vividly
bit
for 30 years?
in my life to do with me. But the dream started out, I was with driving in a car with 3 friends, and 2 are in the back seat, 1 is driving, and I'm in the passenger seat. And we're driving up a very steep canyon, going up a large mountain, trying to get to the top. I don't know why. That's our goal, and that's what we're looking for to get to. So as we're driving, we're laughing, we're partying, and we're just having a good time, thinking life is great. And as we're going up, we see an enormous overhang of ice and snow, and it's gigantic, and it's so big that it feels as if it was to collapse, that it would come over the entire highway, down the canyon, and cover even the city that's down below us. And we keep going and we keep driving, and we're intrigued by this. And as we're driving, we hear a jet airplane coming. The two in the back seat turn around and look behind them, and they see a passenger jet airliner coming towards us. And it's coming straight towards us as if to crash. And we get very nervous, and we think that we're about to die. Just then, this huge jet airliner just turns right over us, veers off to the left, and goes down and crashes into the city. And we see a large explosion. And we start laughing, thinking, wow, we almost died. Isn't that interesting? And we keep partying, and we keep driving. And as we're driving, we come around a corner, and we see a large dump truck in front of us. And this dump truck, we immediately know, does not have any brakes. And it's coming backwards towards us down the highway. And we're driving towards it, and we think we're about to crash into this dump truck. Just as it's about to impact us, it veers off, and it flies off a cliff and is gone. And we start laughing yet once again. We almost died. The third time, as we're nearing this large overhang of snow and ice, we look up, and as we're approaching it, we start to feel the imminent danger that it could collapse anytime and have a huge avalanche and just cover over the entire city. Just then, a chunk of ice, probably the size of like this table, this big round chunk of ice comes crashing through the front windshield, right in between the driver and myself, right where maybe a passenger could be sitting, and it just lands right there. Just then the car stops, and we all again start wondering what the heck just happened. We could have all been killed. Right at that point in time, I find myself alone in the highway. My friends are gone, the car's gone, and now there's an earthquake starting to occur. Ice is falling everywhere, snow's falling everywhere, and I started thinking I just have to protect myself and run. I don't even think what happened to my friends, what happened to the car, and I start running down the highway. And I'm running and running and running, and I come to a farm, a small farm with a little cottage in the middle of it, and a lady is on the other side of her fence. She's hoeing in her garden. And I come running up because the highway comes to her property and then veers all the way around it. And I asked her if I could please cut across her property because of the imminent danger and the earthquake that's occurring and all this snow and ice that's about to fall on all of us. And she says to me, "You'll have to wait a minute. I have to pray to get an answer." And she goes and kneels down and prays. And I'm thinking, okay, wait a second, what is this about? And she comes back and she says to me, "The answer's no. You have to go the long way." So I start running around, the answer's no, and I run all the way around her property. It's about an acre, and then I run back down the road, have to come back in to where the main highway was, down to the freeway, and I feel like I'm running forever, and I feel like I can't make it. I'm just exhausted, and I'm not going to make it. And as I come down to the freeway, cars are leaving the city, and there's just this huge, massive traffic and congestion leaving. Everyone's leaving because of that huge overhang of snow and ice that was about to fall, and it would cover the city. And as I get to the highway, I'm thinking, how am I going to get out of here now? And all of a sudden, I see my family's car driving up. My father's driving, and I start running towards him. He passes me, and I'm running towards the back, thinking, please stop, save me. And as I'm running, trying to grab the car, trying to touch the car, it just keeps going and going, and I keep running and running. Please stop, please stop. And all of a sudden, the brake lights turn on, and I jump in from the back. It was like a station wagon, and like the window went down, and I jumped in the back, and then I woke up.
Wow. That's a pretty significant dream, I would say. And you had it 30 years ago.
I do think it's a progressive dream. I think that it's been unfolding in your life probably for since you've had the dream. The first part of the dream, you're in a car with your friends, and your friends are driving, or one friend is driving, and you're along for the ride, so to speak. There's been
two different things that happened to you while you were with your friends. One was an airplane, a passenger plane. As you were ascending a mountain, you were trying to go higher. You were trying to ascend or climb higher. And the passenger plane came and missed you. It didn't hit you. It didn't affect you, other than you were spared from tragedy, okay? So that was the first thing. The second thing is, as you continue to drive, there's a dump truck that's coming backwards towards you. And the dump truck has to do with garbage, things that have, been picked up, or that they're full of, just stuff. It's a truck that's full of garbage, right? And it's backing down. In other words, it's sliding down towards you. And it was going to probably, had you hit, it would have dumped stuff on you, right? I mean, it probably would have just, but it didn't. And again, you escaped. But while you're driving, part of that ice comes and goes between you and your friend in the car. And so there's a separation. There's something that separated you from your friends because you were partying, you were laughing. It was grow-up time. It was like, things are really getting serious now. Things are becoming much more aware. There was grace. There was things that prevented you from tragedy early on in your life because of the destiny that you have. The destiny and the call that you have. This is a calling dream. It's a progressive dream on your life that tells you that you have a calling. There's something that you're being awakened to. You're being shown. Your father is your father, but also your father. Okay? And there's been, I'm just going to go out on a limb here, but quite frankly, you've been spared more times than just two from catastrophic events that could have completely taken you out. And God is actually calling to you. He's the one who has given you the dream to let you know, look, there was a season of party. There was a season of being with these friends. But quite frankly, in that time, and you were trying to get to a higher place, which you were probably meant to go, and you are meant to go, but you're not going to get there with them. Where you are right now in your life is that the window is being rolled down in the station wagon. It's a family vehicle. And you're being given an opportunity to jump in. And you'll be spared. And you'll be saved. And it's playing out right now in your life. And that's why you had the dream. And it's not just that you're going to save others. I mean, save yourself. You're going to save others. Others are going to see it. Others are going to be in your life. They're going to be connected to you. And that's what this dream is. That's what this dream is. So the window's being rolled down, and it's time for you to jump into the car. Because things are being shaken. There's earthquakes happening all over, and there's not a moment left to lose. And in your journey, had you cut through that farm of the little woman when she prayed, and it was like she was praying for you, and she got an answer for you. And the answer was, you must go this direction, because if you cut through, you would have missed your window of opportunity.
I believe that. Thank you. Wow, it's quite an interpretation. Well, she's keyed in on a lot of things that I believe are true, and told me some things that I had never thought of before. You know, the station wagon, the family. My dad passed away several years ago, and so I've always wondered, well, he's not here anymore. But what she told me was that, you know, it is my father, whether it's my father that I believe in God, or my father that I believe in who's passed on, or just the fact that it was a station wagon and it's family that's going to save me, which, you know, I have just so connected to in the last few years with my children. I have 5 wonderful children. I love them all. And, you know, today we've been out skiing and have a good time together, and that's what brings me the most joy in my life, is being with my children. And I went through drug rehabilitation many years ago, and I've been clean and sober now for many years, And that was a big struggle to get through. It was a big struggle to get past some of my friends that, as she stated, you know, to me, life was all about partying and going out and having fun. And it's almost like it's time to grow up and move on. And it's very comforting to me to hear that, you know, maybe it's time for me to really reconnect with God and do that with and through my family. So it feels good.
And it was interesting, after we did this interpretation, he said, I didn't think I was good enough for God.
I want to share this, and part of the time that we were talking to him, to Bill's cousin, he said, you know, guys, I had this crazy dream.
Yeah.
And he said, I was walking on this road, and just this basic, like, dirt road, and he said, I walked past this shack. It was this simple, beat-up, tiny shack. And he said, I felt compelled to go and knock on the door. It seemed really familiar. And so he goes and he knocks on the door, and an old man opens the door. He's like, I've been waiting for you. Why don't you come on inside? And so he goes inside. He said, guys, I went inside, and it was palatial. It was huge. It was beautiful. There were fountains and rooms, and he took me into a dining room with a big table on it, and it had like snakes that had been prepared up as food. And so we're like, Greg, that shack is you. You know, you feel beat up, worthless, not of much value on the outside. Unattractive, but God's showing you on the inside that you're beautiful.
And so Greg was being shown, man may look at the appearance of things, but God looks at your heart.
Yeah. So what God saw on the inside of Greg was beautiful. And so with all of the chemical things that had happened in his brain, and just the onslaught and the hopelessness, in the end, you know, for him, he couldn't handle. But that dream was like a beautiful, anyway, it was just a beautiful gift. And so,
I mean, just an extremely strong demonstration, again, of God reaching out to, you know, at our lowest points, to give us hope, you know, and demonstrate the unconditional love of the Father, unconditional love.
It's been a real interesting journey, but we can learn a lot about the dreamer by hearing a dream, by being able to work with them through an interpretation process. And hopefully they're walking away with some truth that will unlock so many doors for them in the coming days.
Look at the beautiful night sky. It feels lovely. It feels perfect. And I don't wanna know the secret at home. Closing my eyes to the night. Dreams consume me without trying. Help me see what these things mean. When you're home and you're strong, your mind is healed, and let me tell your bones. When you're home, your mind is healed, and let me tell your wounds. When you're strong, oh, it's a terrible thing to waste. My mind is trying to rearrange things, but I can't. to see the meaning in my dream. When you're home and you're strong, your mind is healed, and let me tell your bones. When you're home, your mind is healed, and let me tell your wounds. When you're strong.